Good evening. My name is Greg Ferris. As President of the Forney ISD Board of Trustees, I hereby call this Forney ISD Board of Trustees meeting to order, and it is 6:00 p.m., and certify that a quorum is present and that the meeting has been posted in the time and manner required by law. The monthly meetings are open to the public, and although those meetings are public, comments and questions from the audience will be confined to the time designated for citizens to address the board. Thank you for being here this evening. At this time, we will now take item 15 out of order. The board will convene into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code sections 551071, 551072, 551074, 551076, 551089. No voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take will result in discussions in closed session will take place after we reconvene into the open session. It is now 6:01 p.m. and will be dismissed into closed session. We're glad to have you all here. Welcome for all our guests tonight, and we'll call this meeting back into our open session. First, we'd like to take a moment and thank our pianist at the very back. Her name is Sophia Truitt. Sophia attends Blackburn Elementary, where she is in the 3rd grade. So give Sophia a big hand for playing our piano. Thank you, Sophia, and your family and guests for being with us tonight. Moving on then to item 3, our welcome and invocation. Tonight, our invocation will be given by Pastor Jeremy Prather of Lake Point Church. We'd like to ask him to go to the microphone. If you would all rise. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's pray together. God, we want to thank you just for bringing us here into this place. You didn't have to wake us up today, but you did. We've been raised so that we may live. And God, thank you that we live here in this place, in this time, as we live, and as we live together in this area and do life together. Would you help us to remember to see things more and more like you do? Help us to do that. Help us to know and remember that it's not all about us, that there are other people around us, and you've called us to cheer them on and see their advancement and celebrate them as well. Help us to do that well. God, would you just empower us by your Holy Spirit to do hard things? That's what we're asking right now. There are a lot of hard things that we're walking through, and I pray that you give us joy as we continue to press forward and take ground and do hard things as city leaders, as families, as moms and dads, and as kids and students, to do hard things with joy, to remember that we have more friends than we do opponents, to see opportunities instead of problems. And God, most of all, help us to serve and lead with your spirit in ours. God, your word down deep inside of us, your love in our heart, and your wisdom in our minds. We invite you here into this place tonight. Govern our time and bless it. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
We're going to move on to our recognitions. Every month we have an opportunity to recognize some great people and students from our community. Tonight we'll be looking over here, and we'll have some students of the month that'll be joining us. Mrs. Beth Dalton, principal for Blackburn Elementary and the Advanced Academy of Fine Arts Academy at Blackburn. She'll be introducing her students of the month. So if you would go ahead. I don't think you're Beth. Oh. But go ahead. Thank you.
Good evening, school board, Dr. Terry, and Forney family. Blackburn is proud to introduce Cornelius Banks as our student of the month. His friends call him CJ. CJ is a 4th grade student at Blackburn Elementary who lives with his mother and father, Cornelius and Crystal, and his siblings, Kamaya, Michaela, and Mackenzie. CJ is a phenomenal young man with outstanding character. His teachers asked me to share the following about CJ. CJ exemplifies the qualities of a true leader and role model in our classroom. His peers know him as a reliable and trustworthy friend that is kind and respectful to everyone. He consistently ensures that his classmates are supported, checking in throughout the day, and helping ensure our classroom is clean and inviting. CJ exemplifies our capturing kids' heart social contract values by setting a positive examples for others. His respectful interactions with peers and adults alike demonstrate his kindness and empathy. Academically, CJ is excelling with A's and B's. He remains calm in challenging situations, helping others manage their emotions. CJ embodies the spirit of a bulldog at Blackburn by demonstrating kindness and compassion for all. His understanding nature allows him to connect with others without judgment. CJ is a wonderful young man, a dedicated student, and an awesome role model that we are fortunate to have at Blackburn Elementary. The Advanced Academics and Fine Arts Academy at Blackburn is delighted to honor Lami Olasakami as our Student of the Month for the Academy. Lami is a fourth grade student in our Advanced Academics and Fine Arts Academy at Blackburn, and his parents and sister are here supporting him tonight. His teachers asked me to share the following about Lami. He is an exceptional child who consistently goes above and beyond to support his peers and staff. With a kind heart, he befriends everyone and demonstrates remarkable care and consideration for those around him. Lami is a straight-A student who works hard to continue his academic excellence. He is the first in our class to volunteer to help run an errand or solve a problem for someone in need. He looks out for his classmates and ensures that everyone is included. When the school year started, we had several new students join our academy. Lami went above and beyond to include our new students in our back-to-school activities, making them feel welcomed and at home. His behavior and choices were integral in building our classroom family. To further demonstrate our Capturing Kids' Hearts values, Lami is a friend to all. He doesn't exclude anyone and encourages others to make good choices due to his leadership. Having such a dedicated, wonderful student like Lami has been a tremendous blessing. Lami is a wonderful young man, a dedicated student, and an awesome role model that we are fortunate to have at the Advanced Academics and Fine Arts Academy at Blackburn.
If you would please rise for our pledges.
We gotta do this. Which one are you gonna do, Lemmy? I think you got you're up first then, bud. We'll step back here. How about that?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, ready? We're gonna do this together. Okay, it's right here. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. We're moving on to item 4 for a couple of other announcements and some donations, and then we'll move back to some recognitions. At this time, We'll ask that's Kristen Zaspel, Executive Director of Marketing and Communications, if she would take the microphone.
Yes, so for your consideration this evening, Tom Thumb has graciously donated $10,000 to Forney High School. They are not here this evening for a photo, but we're asking that you consider this donation for approval.
Board, you've heard the gift to the Forney High School. Do I have a motion to accept? Ms. Dobbs, do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Burkhalter? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I hear none. Next, Ms.
The next donation is also $10,000 from the Forney Football Boosters, also known as the Jackrabbit Touchdown Club. $10,000 for Coach Fleener to be used for technology and equipment for the football program.
Okay, Board, you've heard the other donation from the Booster Club. Do I have a motion to accept? So moved. Ms. Bateman, a second?
Second.
Dr. Mudia? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 5, some student recognition. This time, Ms. Mel Harlan, Director of Engagement in Higher Ed. Would you please come to the microphone?
Thank y'all for being here tonight. I am super excited about this first recognition because it is one that we have never had before, and being a math person myself, I love how they went about selecting the students. So this first award is for National Math Stars. National Math Stars is a 10-year fully funded program that supports and inspires our stars' love of mathematics as early as 3rd grade through the end of high school. Every star is unique, so the National Math Star faculty work in close partnership with them and design a journey that aligns with their strengths and interests. Over those 10 years, NMS will invest more than $100,000 of support and resources in each star to create a pathway for them to reach the frontiers of math, science, and technology. Students who are chosen as National Math Stars are in the top 99.999% of math students in the country. Not just Forney, not just Texas, the country. Thousands, 61,000 to be exact, students applied to be a National Math Star. This is where the fun math comes in. They narrowed it down to a semifinalist pool of 61,000, narrowed it down from there to a finalist pool of 610, and then finally chose 61 students across the nation to be National Math Stars. And we have 2 of them here in Forney, along with 6 finalists. So when I say proud, that is an understatement. Unfortunately, one of our kiddos couldn't be here tonight, but we will be recognizing the other 5. So first up, our National Math Star finalist, Dagwami Johannes. Y'all can come on up when I call your name. There you go, sir. Marcus Hagevasayo. Side note, Marcus also designed our new STEAM Camp logo for this past summer. William Chavez. Ruth Anna Clary. Elion Marino. And our 2 National Math Stars in Forney, Somto Azika could not be here tonight, and Sultan Oladeni, come on down. And for our next recognitions, we're going to go back towards the big kids sector because that's what I'm a little more familiar with. And we had last May, we had 2 teams from our UIL academic competitors qualify to compete at the state UIL academic competition, and we placed well. So first up, we have our literary criticism team, and to give you some idea of what these kiddos went through, on top of their academic requirements with AP classes and advanced classes and extracurricular activities outside of UIL academics, these guys had to read 3 different novels and take, I don't even know how many tests. It was a lot, and they are hard. I tried to do one. No, it was not pretty. Our literary criticism team went to state last year and finished 5th in the state of Texas. Absolutely amazing. So if y'all would, welcome up Haley Lemmy, Michael Jones, Layla Belisle, and Chloe Acker. Also placing in our state UIL academic competition is our absolute juggernaut of a journalism academic team. They started as a freshman team 3 years ago and took state by storm. This year, we have Caitlin Daly placed 6th in news writing in the state, and Catherine Spiller is our current headline writing state champion. I also want to take a moment to recognize the 2 gentlemen that got these kiddos where they are. Before they joined Forney ISD 3 years ago, y'all are on your 4th year, right? Yep. State academic competition was not really a thing that we talked about much here. But since they have joined our little family, we're talking state recognitions now. So I would like to recognize the coach of the literary criticism team, Mr. Josh Copeland, and the absolutely indefatigable coach. Yeah, that's a good word. That's a journalism word, right? Yep, thank you. Mr. John Nielsen.
Congratulations again to all, and I appreciate all the leadership from that department. Then moving on now, we'll move to item B. I'd like to ask Dr. Stormy Lamont, Chief of Secondary Learning and Leadership, to come to the microphone.
Thank you, School Board and Dr. Cherry, Mr. Ferris, for the opportunity to recognize these leaders. I've asked my team to join me, Courtney Rodriguez, Rachel Bonner, and Leslie Rader. We have been honored to work closely with these leaders over the past few months. We have had the privilege to walk their halls with them and watch them in action. These dedicated individuals are some of the most devoted leaders you'll see in public education. They truly put students first, not just in words, but in action. You can find them engaging students, reading with them, laughing, and smiling. Students stop them in the hallways to wave or hug or fist bump. They know their students. They ask about karate tournaments, football games, dance recitals, and other personal weekend events. There's much more to these composed individuals that you probably do not get to see. While we try to remind them of the importance of work-life balance, their school life is also their family. They lead with a servant's heart and a commitment like no other. they are the biggest supporters of their staff, their students, and the families that they serve. They carry great pride in serving their campuses as well as Forney ISD. Forney family is not a phrase, but it is their leadership style. For these dedicated individuals before you, being a principal in Forney ISD is more than a job. It's their passion, it's their heart. Forney ISD, please help me as we pause to appreciate these devoted leaders. Leaders, please join me as I call your name. Ashley Rideout from our Early Childhood Center. Beth Dalton from Blackburn Elementary. Ashley Tony, Claiborne Elementary. Neely Neggs, Criswell. Wendy Bailey, Crosby Elementary. Courtney Parker, Dewberry Elementary. Christy Crabtree, Griffin Elementary. Christy Mock from Henderson Elementary. Katie Wilson, Johnson Elementary. Danielle Bingert from Lewis Elementary. Shelby Denman, Willett Elementary. Maribel Sanchez, Wilson Elementary. Dr. Barbie Knack, Jones Intermediate. Bree Malone, Ray Intermediate. Brenda Lopez, Rhodes Intermediate. Felicia Marshall, Smith Intermediate. Judith Willis from Brown Middle School. Stacy Wetzel, Jackson Middle School. Molly Pearl, Teamer Middle School. Josh Garcia, Warren Middle School. Dr. Jara Patton, North Forney High School. Jason Mood, our 9th grade principal at North Forney High School. Miss Jennifer Golson, Forney High School. Dr. Justin James, Forney High School 9th grade center. Dr. Stephanie Leach, Forney Learning Academy. Sarah Smith, who is the principal, acting principal, I guess, at the OC. And Dr. Stacy Ryan, who runs our virtual learning academy. How's that for transition? Just keep holding the pie. I can't see Mr. Ferris. Mr. Ferris, are you okay if I go for the next one? Okay. So our next celebration here involves these same leaders and probably a few other that are still sitting in the crowd. So for the second year in a row, Capturing Kids' Hearts has named Forney ISD as a National Showcase District Award winner. Only 40 school districts nationwide have earned this distinction. This award celebrates campuses across the nation that go above and beyond to cultivate a safe and supportive environment for students and staff that results in a positive school culture and forges meaningful connections across the district. Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase School awardees are evaluated and selected based on survey and performance data from administrators, teachers, staff, and students. Based on the rigor of their evaluation process, the Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase Schools Award is both a high aspiration and exemplary recognition of excellence. Congratulations to Forney ISD on being named a 2023-2024 National Showcase District.
At this time, we'll take a 5-minute recess, and thank you for being our guest tonight. Thank you. We'll call our meeting back to order. Moving on to item 7, it's a public hearing, Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. And we'll have to ask Mr. John Chase, Associate Superintendent of Business and Finance, to come to the microphone. But before he does, I'd like to ask for a motion from the board to go into this public hearing. Can I have a motion?
Mr. Ferris, I move that we open the public hearing for the Financial Integrity Rating System.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do I have a second? Second. Ms. Bateman? Okay. Mr. Chase, you may have the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. This is tonight's the first hearing, as you pointed out. Every year, the Texas Education Agency publishes a financial accountability rating. It's also called or known as the first rating for each school district and open enrollment charter school in the state. Now, the purpose of this rating is to measure the quality of financial management practices and to improve financial resource management. Just a little bit about the rating before we get into ours. The data used to determine it, the current year's rating was reported in fiscal year 2023. Ratings of A, B, C, or F can be assigned, and there are 21 indicators used to determine the rating. Now, these ratings can fall into 3 categories: critical, solvency, and financial competency. And just to start on the critical indicators, they're aptly named because failure to meet all of the standards in this category will result in an automatic F rating. The standards measured in this category include completing and sending the annual financial report to TEA by established deadline, receiving an unmodified or clean audit opinion from our independent auditor, making timely debt service payments, and making timely payments to the Teachers Retirement System, the Texas Workforce Commission, and the IRS. Next are the solvency indicators, and these are used to measure the financial health and the school district's ability to manage operations into the foreseeable future. Some of the standards measured in this category include: did the district have a positive net position? Was there sufficient cash on hand to meet current obligations? Was there stability with the general fund balance? Were revenues sufficient to meet expenditure obligations? And was there stability in the student to staff ratio over a 3-year period? And then finally, we have the financial competency indicators, and these are used to determine if the district has knowledge and skills necessary to operate effectively. Some of the standards measured in this category include: was the financial data submitted to TEA the same as the reported in the annual financial report? Were there any weaknesses in internal controls reported by our independent auditor? And were there instances of material noncompliance with federal grants reported by our independent auditor? So tonight, I'm happy to report that the district received an A rating. This is the 9th year in a row that we received an A. And I just take a minute to say that I have the privilege of working with some great staff in the business office. Several of them have worked with me for the last 10 years, and their work ethic and attention to detail are a big part of the reason the district has financial success. And so I just want to publicly thank them. But if there's any questions about the rating itself, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Do we have any questions from the board? I hear none. Dr. Terry, do you have any comments?
Well, you give me a chance to say thank you to John for sure, and his team. And John, 9th year in a row is very impressive. And we know the work that your team does each and every day to get to this point every year, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate you. And Board, I'd just like to commend you as well for your conservative approach. We're keeping up with fast growth and still able to do some things like be competitive with salaries and receive A ratings when it comes to our financials. First ratings every year, and that is a feat, and it's very impressive. And I just want to say thank you to you both. So, John, we appreciate all your hard work and your team.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. On behalf of the board, we do appreciate your partnership and your department helping us achieve this great success again. If there's no further questions from the board, may I have a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Ms. Dobbs, may I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Burkhalter? Thank you very much. It's now 7:35, and this public hearing is closed. We'll move on then to item 8. The next 4 items are reports only, require no action from the board. First is 8A, the monthly financial report. Mr. Chase?
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Tonight's report includes financial activity through the month of August, which is our second month of our current fiscal year. Beginning with the general fund, revenues collected to date is $3.1 million, which is 2% of the amount estimated. I would point out that the district received $18.2 million in state aid payments during the month. These payments were recognized as revenue in the prior fiscal year because it was payment for attendance in that year. General fund expenditures to date was $37.1 million, or 18% of the amount appropriated. You might have recognized that the percent in maintenance and operations expenditures were higher than those in other parts of the budget. And the primary reason for the elevated expenditure was the district made its annual property insurance premium payment in the month of August. And this one-time payment totaled $3.9 million. In the food service budget, revenue collected totaled $700,000, or 8% of the amount estimated. Our average daily lunch participation rate for the month was 44%. Year-to-date revenue year-to-date expenditures was $1 million, or 10% of the amount appropriated. Both revenues and expenditure percentages are comparable to the same point in time for this period last year. In the debt service fund, we had revenues collected of $600,000, or 1% of the amount estimated. Now, most of the revenue collected in the debt service fund was will not occur until November, December, and January, because this is when the bulk of our property taxes are collected. Now, year-to-date debt service expenditures totaled $31.1 million. In August, this is the month that we have one of our 2 semi-annual debt service payments that occur. So this one in August, and we have another semi-annual payment that happens in February. But after the payment was made in August, the district still had $31.8 million remaining in our fund balance in the debt service account. So we're in pretty good shape there. And then finally, in our cash investments balance in the general fund, food service fund, debt service, capital project fund, it totaled $205.3 million. Over half of the funds are on deposit in the capital project fund, and these funds will be used to complete construction projects currently underway. So that concludes my financial report. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. I hear none. We'll move on to the summary of finance.
So as the board's aware, the summary of finance is a report that TEA issues every year that shows what the district is entitled to receive in state aid payments. And periodically throughout the year, they update certain parts of the formula with actual known data. They start the year out with estimates, and that's how they flow the payments to us. And then they end the year, they actually have all of our attendance data, our tax collection data, and our property values, and those are the elements they need in order to calculate what in fact we are entitled to receive. And so tonight, we're here to discuss the near, what they refer to as the near final summaries of finance report. This includes, again, the actual attendance data and the actual tax collection and tax values for the last previous fiscal year. And you have the report that was included in your board book. There's 2 columns. There was a legislative payment estimate column, which that's how they flow the cash to us throughout the year. And then on that near final column is what we're actually entitled to receive. And so at the end of the year, you can determine whether you're over or underpaid, and then you settle up with the state accordingly. And so just to point out, this year, They paid us or flowed cash to us on an estimate of ADA of 16,448, and we actually ended the year with 15,678. So we they actually flowed us a little more cash on attendance than we actually had. You know, we updated our property values, just to kind of put this in, they actually updated that back in the spring, but we had property values of 8.4 billion approximately. And then just looking at the actual revenue that we are entitled to receive from the Foundation School program, it was 101.1 million, and through the available school fund, it was 6.3 million. And then for additional state aid for homestead exemption, that's the funds that we received in our debt service account. It was approximately 5.7 million. And so just coming down to the end and just looking what the final analysis is, the state has actually paid us about 1.7 million more than we were actually entitled to receive over the last fiscal year. And just kind of want to point out again that the total state aid that we just looked at in the general fund, when you combine the available school fund and the Foundation School program, what they paid us was 109.1 million. What we were actually entitled to receive was 107.4, which was an overpayment of 1.7. Just wanted to point out that we have that recognized as a liability in our audit report that we're going to receive tonight. So it wasn't recognized as revenue last year to inflate our financial position in any way. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Any questions from the board? I hear no comments. Appreciate you, Mr. Chase. Thank you very much. Moving on to item C, your comprehensive safety and wellness update. Ms. Creston Zastapel, Executive Director of Marketing Communications, I think will lead this, and we'll have some other presenters as well.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us present this evening. In the fall of 2020, we began presenting each October our annual comprehensive safety and wellness plan. So for the fourth year in a row, we're wanting to provide an update to the safety nets for every child that we are continually adding and enhancing. There is a handout provided in your packet and also on our website for parents at the link on the screen. We'll be taking a few items out of order on the handout based on which team or department oversees that item. In collaboration with our staff, students, families, and community partners, our district and campus teams are working to provide services for the safety and wellness of all of our students. It is more than a plan. These are actions that are constantly working together and evolving to meet the needs of our students. In Forney ISD, we believe in the net philosophy. As students learn and grow, they may fall, and it's our duty to provide safety nets. With a plan in place to help catch them and set them back on track for their plan and purpose. With over 18,500 students in Forney ISD and each child having very different needs, we can't do it alone. It takes the help of our community, all of our staff, parents, grandparents, guardians, families, churches, service organizations, businesses, all of us to build those nets for students. While there are many items listed as a part of our comprehensive safety and wellness plan, we understand that physical safety is always a top priority. We are thankful for our teachers, police, and administrators who continue to work tirelessly to provide a safe environment for our students. To support all of our efforts, we urge legislatures to provide teachers, administrators, and police a change in law to provide additional consequences for disruptive and violent behaviors. Administrators and school-based law enforcement are limited by Chapter 37 of the Texas Education Code and the Penal Code as to the extent they can provide consequences and charges. Although the public wants us to share information on how students are disciplined, the law does not allow us to share that information. Due to the incidents involving minors in FERPA laws, we are only allowed to notify parents of students involved in isolated incidents. However, in every instance, we prosecute students to the full extent of the law, as well as administratively per the Student Code of Conduct. But we have limitations from Chapter 37, the Penal Code, and special education laws.
As Ms. Zastapel just shared, as a district, we are required to operate under the Penal Code, the Texas Education Act Code, and IDEA, the Individuals with Disability Education Act. In previous years, law enforcement was able to write citations for fighting and disorderly conduct on school property. That statute was removed in 2013. So, scenario, If two students walk across the street onto public property and fight, other local law enforcement agencies can issue citations. But after 2013, if they fight on our campus or our school property, then it is only the administrative consequences that apply. They cannot write citations. So what do we do now? Well, Forney ISD wasn't actually satisfied with that. So our Forney ISD Police Department got with Judge Tarnow out of Precinct 2. They collaborated and came up with a process for her to be able to write summons, which required the student and the parent to go to court. And during that process, the judge would issue calls for them to go to some sort of restoration classes or education classes covering topics such as anger management, mental health, and conflict resolution. In some cases, monetary fines had been implemented or restrictions being placed on the student's driver's license. This was in addition to any administrative consequences we assigned from the campus. Other constraints under the penal code also says that any student age 10 or older may have charges. So what that means is anyone below 10 cannot receive criminal charges. In the Texas Education Code, students below 3rd grade cannot be suspended. Students in foster care, or students designated as homeless, also cannot be suspended. The Texas Education Code and the Texas Education Agency have placed restrictions on the number of days a student can be suspended or placed in ISS for a specific incident. That maximum is 3 days. Students under the age of 6 cannot go to a disciplinary alternative education program. I get asked by many, well, why don't you just expel the students? Chapter 37 of the Texas Education Code is specific about what offenses dictate an alternative education program or an expulsion. Under IDEA, which is the special ed provision for federal law, if a student is receiving special education services, prior to changing any placement, the ARD committee, the Admission Review and Dismissal Committee, must convene to determine if the behavior was a manifestation of the disability. For example, if a pre-K student is enrolled in our early childhood special education class and there's an incident that violates our student code of conduct, such as maybe an injury to a teacher, there's no recourse under federal or state law that allows us to remove that child from the program. We are bound by FAPE, free and appropriate public education, and a least restrictive environment based off of IDEA. I share this only to explain some of the restrictions and constraints that are placed on the district by state and federal law. Forney ISD continues to push our responses and our actions to the full extent of what's allowable under Chapter 37 and the Penal Code, even to a point where we have to answer to TEA for data validation and disproportionality. In other words, what we're doing is probably pushing the edge of that envelope, and we have been staged under data validation because we're taking a stand against violence in our schools. However, this is a position that we'll continually hold as long as we're able to, as violent and disruptive behavior is unacceptable and it will not be tolerated in our schools.
Good evening. I'm Brian Burton, captain here with the Forney ISD Police Department. Excuse me. Chief Saunders is away at the Bill Blackwood Law Enforcement Management Institute of Texas. He's there for new chief development training this week. So I'm honored to present this in his place. Our district police officers work collaboratively with school administrators and district personnel and are responsible for many aspects of campus security and law enforcement. Your Forney ISD Police Department is committed to hiring a police officer on every campus. Currently, we have 28 sworn police officers. We are actively hiring to fill 37 total positions. After our extensive field training program has been completed, the remaining officers will be utilized for the elementary campuses. With the shortage, nationwide shortage of police vehicles, and police equipment, those new officers going to those campuses will be assigned as soon as possible. Annually, the Forney ISD Police Department has completed state-mandated training on mental health, conducted summer partial audits, weekly door checks, standard response protocols trainings, campus procedures, and state intrusion audits for all district campuses. In addition, Anson Calmes has joined the Forney ISD family, falling within the police department, to serve as the district's Emergency Operations Safety and Security Director. He's responsible for keeping current our multi-hazard operations plan and working with the Texas School Safety Center, also utilizing the Sentinel program to track safety audits. At our high school campuses, we have enlisted a third-party source to provide security officers to protect the safety and welfare of students as an additional uniformed presence on campuses. They actively patrol our high school campuses, monitoring student behavior, securing buildings and property, and help maintain order during events. The district has adopted the I Love You Guys Foundation standard response protocols for emergency response and the standard reunification method per the recommendation of our Safety and Security Committee. We developed a community-wide collaboration with our first responders to strengthen our relationships and ensure the most efficient responses if any emergency or crisis were to occur within the Forney ISD facility. The Forney ISD also maintains a district safety task force. The charge for this team is to first facilitate development of district goals and initiatives to improve school safety, to identify current conditions and root causes, to respond to needs of staff, students, and community, to explore the further development of safety conditions, and to propose recommendations to the superintendent and board for future work. Our Community Safety Task Force, government officials, school district administrators, and representatives from all law enforcement agencies in our county have formed a task force that meets regularly to solve community safety issues. One of the goals of this task force is to develop and strengthen partnerships with local safety agencies to engage in joint training, collaboration, and information sharing. The Forney ISD works in conjunction with the Kaufman County Crime Stoppers program to have an anonymous reporting format for after-hours reporting. Our School Safety and Security Grant has helped provide for physical security measures for our campuses, such as window film, the Evolved Weapons Detection Systems, as well as our silent panic alert systems.
I'd like to share some more things that we have implemented and kind of promoted throughout my departments. And one, starting with transportation, the Forney ISD, we use the Secured Mobility Authorized Ridership Technology, because that's so long, we call it Smart Tag, system to provide accountability for all of our students who ride the bus to and from school. I talked to Michelle Ram, who is our Executive Director of Transportation, and when she started, which I believe was about 4 years ago, we were transporting about 2,400 students per day. We are now transporting 6,000 students per day. So the initiative of this Smart Tag system really gives parents a peace of mind that they can actually see where their kid is located in their particular route, or when the projected time of arrival. We're able to quickly give them instant messaging for any delays that might be in their route, but it is an accountability piece that we're very proud of and that has been very effective. Forney ISD students, also grades 5 through 12, are required to wear an ID badge to ensure safety and security on school campuses and facilities. Forney ISD does have a no cell phone policy. They are required to be shut off and put away during school hours. Violation of this policy constitutes graduated sanctions and monetary charge. Information about the district's bullying prevention programs can be found on our district's website. Information and resources are being updated regularly to provide stakeholders with helpful information. One thing recently, TEA pushed out what's called the minimum standards for bullying. One thing that came out of that has been very beneficial for our district is establishes a committee on each campus to review their best practices, what's going on the campus, and address any specific concerns. This committee does include students and parents as well. Research will show that there are 3 key components of a bullying prevention program: character development, conflict resolution, and acquiring empathy. After researching programs implemented by other school districts, none had the comprehensive approach that Forney ISD has enacted. Bullying is strictly prohibited in Forney ISD schools. Our plan to combat bullying includes the procedures and techniques provided in capturing kids' hearts, restorative practices, and in our in real life curriculum, IRL curriculum. These techniques and procedures have been implemented across the district. Through our anonymous alerts link and mobile app, students or parents in the school community can anonymously submit any suspicious activity, bullying, or other student-related issues to a school administrator or to a campus officer. Back in 2019, they came across Senate Bill 11, the implementation of a threat assessment management system. If you remember, we actually implemented that in 2018. We were 1 year ahead, actually before we knew law, because we thought it was the right thing to do for our kids. The threat assessment allows us to identify students, create a committee to provide wraparound services, including our counselors, any support counselors we have, whatever they may need to help in their time of crisis. Our Forney ISD Safety Task Force made a recommendation a year before last to add weapon detecting technology to some of our campuses. After thorough research and planning, we partnered with the Evolve, the latest state-of-the-art weapons detection system in our high school, middle school, and our intermediate campuses. If you've been out to the Cowboys game, you went through Evolve. Also, as part of another layer of safety for our campuses, our middle school and above, we now conduct what's called random security screenings. These were added as a layer of safety, as I mentioned, to deter individuals from bringing prohibited items and contraband to school or school-sponsored activities. This curtails the threat of violence and fosters a safe learning environment. Flipping over a little bit to health services, we're really proud of what's happened in Stacy Brown as our director and some of the things that they've been doing recently. Currently, they partnered with Goodside Health School Med in efforts to improve attendance and keep students healthy and ready to learn in the classroom. Goodside Health is a telehealth program that allows the student to be seen by a medical provider in the campus clinic with the school nurse once the parent or the guardian has registered and provided consent for us to do so. The campus nurse can perform point-of-care testing if ordered by the provider, such as strep test, flu test, and etc. And the provider can call in any necessary prescriptions at the parent's preferred pharmacy to get the process of recovery going quickly and a quick return to the classroom. Also, as you realized last month, the board establishes a local school health advisory council to assist the district in ensuring that local community values are reflected in the district's health curriculum and instruction. One of the most exciting things we did this past year, as part during the summer, is that we created our own health clinic. In Forney ISD, our employees are important to us. And so we realized without our high-quality staff members remaining healthy and well, our students couldn't receive the services and the education needed to be successful. Our district offers our employees and their families wellness opportunities, such as on-campus vaccinations, clinics, mammography events, and the most recent implementation of the free employee health clinic. A health clinic is designed to make it quick and easy to seek care from a medical provider when acutely ill, to allow for a quick recovery and to return to our students. Forney ISD Health Services also is very proud to be one of the only school districts in North Texas region that is a Texas vaccine for children provider. We're able to offer and administer school-required vaccines free to our students that are underinsured or have no insurance or Medicaid chips. This valuable resource allows students to enroll and attend school faster, as we can provide these vaccines on site. We also offer this service to our surrounding school districts in Kaufman County that otherwise would have nowhere to go. Last, in partnership with the Lions Club, our school nurses have provided vision screenings and referrals to receive free eyeglasses from the Lions Club. And we've been doing this for many, many years, and we're very thankful for their partnership.
Good evening. I'm going to talk about some of the things we do within our innovation department here at Forney. One of the first things we have is a district and campus crisis team. So these teams are developed on campus, and then we have a district-wide crisis team where we do specialized training during the summer and during the school year. And then if any crisis situation occurs on a campus, we disperse those teams to that campus immediately to help support each campus in need. We offer student support counselors. So to enhance mental health support and resources, Forney employs student support counselors who are either licensed professional counselors, so LPCs, or have a background in social work. These counselors lead restorative circles, facilitate care groups, and assist with threat assessments across the campuses. Currently, we have 8 student support counselors, and we just received a grant this year and have added 7 more positions to further support the well-being of our students' mental health. In addition, we have partnered with Children's Hospital, the Texas Child Health Access through Telemedicine, or TCHAT, which offers free consultations and unlimited virtual counseling sessions for any and all of our students, so that they can get counseling, mental health counseling during the day virtually without having to see an outside counselor at no charge to the families. We also focus on mental health awareness, so we have 5 pillars that we focus on within this to support our school community. The first one is engaging students, families, staff, and our parents with open conversations about mental health. Providing targeted training for all stakeholders to better understand and address mental health needs. Integrate mental health education into our classroom instruction. Equipping students with practical tools and strategies for managing their mental health, and support the well-being of students, teachers, and staff through a holistic approach. We also have Culture of Excellence specialists here in Forney, and these individuals are dedicated to empowering faculty and staff by building their capacity on their campus. Our COEs collaborate with teachers on classroom management, integrating future-ready skills, and implementing effective behavior management strategies for students both in the classroom and throughout the campus. We currently have a COE specialist assigned to every campus within our district. Parent engagement support offers Tier 1 support to all of our Forney ISD families by connecting them with valuable resources and community service both within the district and beyond. We provide classes for parents and students on topics such as conflict resolution, anger management, and various mental health issues. These sessions, which are available to all of our families and students, are also offered, as Mr. Gear stated, court-appointed programs through Judge Trono. In real life, Forney ISD introduced a 5th core class in 2022, and research, we based this class on research that ages 9 through 13 are most critical for teaching character development, which is why we've partnered with the Flipping Group to design the IRL curriculum, or in real life. Now implemented for all 5th through 7th grade students, this student-centered course is built on capturing kids' hearts principles and focuses on key aspects such as character development, leadership skills, educational and career pathways, and personal finance. Topics covered in this course are self-control, acceptance, conflict resolution, empathy, building healthy relationships, and setting goals. This year, we additionally added K through 4 morning meetings, which takes the concepts of CKH and IRL and takes it down to our littles. So every day, they talk about foundational elements such as emotional awareness through zones of regulation, all of our capturing kids' hearts themes, and then we really emphasize character education at that age level. Character education is also a big component, so in addition to IRL or morning meetings or advisory lessons, we also have character lessons every month based on our CKH themes, K through 8, so our counselors go and teach at least once a month to all students the character theme of that month. Student engagement, so to increase student engagement, our district-wide Engage program is designed to connect students beyond the classroom by offering a variety of classes that range from sporting classes, fine arts, intramurals, and all other areas of interest that our students have interest in. The program plays a crucial role in fostering a sense of belonging, which research shows is essential for students' social and academic success. By providing diverse opportunities, Engage helps students build meaningful connections within the school community and encouraging a well-rounded student. Dating violence, so all of our students in 5 through 8 receive dating violence awareness courses through IRL and through our history classes at the high school as well. The last one is Securely notifications. We utilize Securely, which is real-time scanning of emails, documents, and Drive notifications to monitor for signs of cyberbullying, suicide, and violence. Additionally, Securely serves as a web filter to block access to inappropriate websites, and can also assess classroom management. When alerts are triggered, the administrative team is immediately notified and a follow-up with the student to investigate and address the situation. This ensures a proactive approach to student safety. This year, we have recently purchased and are excited to announce that we recently purchased Discern, which is a product of Securely, and it will monitor all of our students grades 5 through 12 and their digital footprint. It gives us access to at-risk behaviors and sends alerts to our counselors immediately, which allows us to provide proactive ways in finding students early on to get that early intervention for them. Thank you.
I'll continue with areas of learning and operations. If you have a child's heart, you have their mind. As you guys know, that's the core belief of capturing kids' hearts. Forney ISD continues to partner with the Flippin' Group to give our staff the skills to transform our classrooms and campuses into high-achieving centers of learning where kids want to attend school, where we increase student engagement and build a culture of success. Capturing Kids' Hearts is a set of processes developed by the Flippin' Group intended to create healthy relationships between adults and students. It is designed to strengthen students' connections to the school by increasing protective factors, including positive character development, strong bonds with teachers, and consistently enforced behavioral agreements. Additionally, it decreases risk factors such as inappropriate behavior and poor social coping skills. Currently, all of our eligible campuses are CKH Showcase campuses, and as you saw earlier, we are, for the second year in a row, a National Showcase district. In addition, Forney ISD is a common sense district. The common sense curriculum supports a safe and responsible use of technology in the school. This certification equips us to educate all students with the critical thinking skills needed to make responsible and ethical decisions when facing digital dilemmas online. Each of our Forney ISD campuses qualifies as a common sense campus, and Forney ISD has been a common sense district for the past 7 years. We're now going on our 8th year as a common sense district. Parental resources can be accessed through the Forney ISD digital citizenship page, and each of our librarians and library aides are certified in common sense. Additionally, each district employee in Forney ISD that utilizes any Forney ISD IT systems in their role is required to complete cybersecurity training annually. We do this through InfoSec IQ. This training is comprehensive and it covers the importance of cybersecurity awareness along with behavioral training to prevent the most common methods of cyber attack. Over the past several years, we have added additional perimeter improvements through perimeter fencing across our district. This provides increased security and a larger secure perimeter around each of our campuses. Each of our campuses has Vigilon cameras throughout their buildings. We install and update cameras each year to ensure the best coverage through each of our campuses and include new Vigilon cameras in each new build that we build. Additionally, each bus that we purchase receives several cameras inside each bus to ensure full coverage throughout the bus. We utilize keyless badge entry at all of our secure entries to all of our facilities. This allows the appropriate access to the people who need it and only the people who need it to our buildings. And it also gives us the ability to very quickly turn off access when needed. It can also allow us to remotely lock down any building if needed in the event of emergency. Additionally, and finally, each of our campuses has a secure vestibule at the entry points. This is equipped with an A-phone camera system that allows someone on the inside to visually identify the person who's at the door and gain entry through a buzzer system. That allows us to verify any visitors prior to allowing entry into the building.
I get the privilege in communications to also work with our community partners. And we are blessed in this district with many wonderful community partners who provide donations, who help us run events. Everything from our clothing center that gave away, I believe, over 5,000 pieces of clothing this fall. Back to school resource fair that recently served 1,700 students with backpacks as well as other resources. Our annual food drive that will be kicking off our Pack the Pantry campaign after fall break to benefit the local food pantry. Our annual season of giving that includes our Angel Tree program with the Lions Club. Last year, we served approximately 1,200 students who would not have otherwise had Christmas presents. Our churches and nonprofits continually step up to help us support these programs and support our Forney families to try to create nets for all of our students. We also receive ongoing emergency need support from local nonprofits. It might be that a student or staff member has a family member facing a cancer diagnosis, or they've had a fire at their home, or some other urgent emergency need. And we also have nonprofits who step up to collect those funds and actually give 100% back to them, unlike some of the online accounts like GoFundMe and things that you see. And they are supporting only our Forney community by doing this and providing those urgent needs for our community. We also implemented a new parent communication system this year with Parent Square. We were really excited to launch that. We've had really great feedback. It reduces our translation barrier quite a bit. It translates in real time into hundreds of languages. It's connected teachers directly with parents to be able to actually send a protected text message and have that communication instantly back and forth with our families. We update our website, have call notifications, text, monthly newsletters through Enlightened, emails, media releases and stories, social media, as well as a lot of local community presentations. We do have also great relationships with our local agency communication teams, so our public information teams with our city, our county, our first responders, as well as with our state agencies and our state organizations. Our Forney Family Community Campaign continues. It focuses around our values and the fact that we are more than a district, more than a community. We are a Forney family, and that it takes all of us to provide these nets for our kids. We do have collaborative meetings with our PTO officers, our boosters, our church partners, and our nonprofit agencies several times a year. In addition, our team helps coordinate our volunteer and background checks. We have just switched over to the Raptor system, but I'm proud to say that for the last 3 years, we've been using a system that not only does it do an annual background check, it actually rechecks them monthly to ensure that we are making sure everyone is cleared to be safe around our children. As you can see, there's a lot of overlapping initiatives amongst our departments where we work together to provide nets. We're always researching and seeking to improve and add additional supports for students. Again, this is more than a plan. These are the actions that are constantly working together and evolving to meet each of our students' needs, and those needs change sometimes. This plan is only effective when our parents, community, and district join our efforts together. So at this time, if you have any questions, our team is available to answer those.
Thank you, Ms. Espel, and your team. It's amazing to see how our safety and wellness has evolved now to include 5 different departments that all have a piece in that as they do a great job of keeping our students safe. Any other questions from the board? Okay, you're done. Thank you very much for that very comprehensive report. Moving on then to item D, our next report. Mr. Rick Gear will come up and share the attendance report.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris, School Board. As you're aware, attendance rates have declined across the nation and the state. As our district leaders started diving in and researching tools and strategies to address the issue, we have come across a robust platform that has proven results in attendance improvement across several larger school districts in the North Texas area. I would like to share some of the components of the program with the board tonight. One key element is the early detection through advanced identification and engagement of all at-risk students. The program provides two-way communication with parents for early and ongoing positive communications with their family. Automated interventions provide timely recommendations for each student's barriers and whatever their situation may be. Real-time tracking provides areas for improvement and complete documentation. Some other objectives clarified in the program is the collaboration that it provides to define the need and to provide the quick intervention. Teamwork for successful strategies. It defines each stakeholder's responsibilities in providing these targeted tools. Improve relationships between family and the campus administration. And what I'm referencing to, when it gets to the point where, as we know, that they're in violation of the compulsory attendance law, then it becomes negative if the district has to end up filing on the student or the parent. We're trying to get ahead of it before, and this program allows us to do that. So in summary, these are the key components. Attendance awareness, the campaign, really to promote that. You get real-time analytics with this program, automated and customized interventions, centralized documentation, rewards and recognitions, real positive when we see improvement, alerts and reminders, and as I mentioned, two-way communication in over 100 plus languages. And I put follow-up as my last bullet here, but I will tell you that our administrators will think that we hung the moon, because this will make their life so much easier. As an administrator walks in the morning, their dashboard pops up, and it literally puts up at the front, on top, students that are in jeopardy of getting into that position where they're violating the law. And then it gives you an avenue for you to click buttons to notify parents. Literally, I could click the button, I can notify 20, 25, 30 parents, as many as I wanted at one time with that communication. Then if we see it literally identifies the interventions and what interventions will be successful, and then they guarantee 100% money back guarantee on this. He said, if you do any sort of intervention, the fact that we're touching every kid, that we're not letting any kid slip through the net, slip through the cracks. And so through that intervention, through that connection that we're making with the parent and the student, he said, I'll give you 100% of your money back if you can show proof you've done every intervention. And so it's a robust platform, and I'll tell you, our administrators on campus, if I can talk John Chase into wringing his arm for the price of this, he'll be a hero. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gear. Next is item E, our notice of intruder detection audit findings. For another month here, we'd like to say there's no findings to report. So thank you, campuses, for staying on top of that. Then moving on to item 9 is public forum. The board will hear comments from the audience only during the public comment portion of the meeting. Individuals wishing to speak have added their name and topic of the board sign up prior to the meeting. This evening, we have one person who signed up to speak. That person would start making their way up here, Mr. Nate Detmeyer. The board will allot 3 minutes for tonight's public comments portion of the meeting. Each speaker will be able to address the board. Please respect the privacy of others and refrain from identifying students, employees, or other community members by name. The board requests that the representation tonight, that the comments on any subject, whether positive or negative, be courteous and respectful. Disruption of the meeting will not be tolerated at any time. Any speaker with a specific complaint about a district employee, decision, or operational issue should present this complaint through the appropriate mechanism, which is the district's formal grievance process. Speakers who provide details about a specific complaint will be stopped and referred to the district administration for information about the grievance process. The board may not respond to any comments made tonight or questions asked from the public. So at this time, Nate, we will let you begin, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Board. I'm Nate Detmer, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the teachers and staff about fighting in our district. They feel unsupported and unheard by the district admin and you, the board. They are afraid to speak because of the perception of retaliation. Please think about my statement just now and let that sink in. This district has long swept the problems of bullying and fighting under the rug and chosen not to address the problems publicly and harshly. While stating there's a zero-tolerance policy, the perception is just the opposite. A comment heard from a student this week. We aren't going to fight at home or in the streets. We'll get arrested. We'll fight at school because nothing happens to us. They know the discipline is a joke and use it to their advantage. The culture created by the district admin has teachers afraid to speak and has students feeling helpless. This is a failure by our district and by you, the board. This is your chance to do something different, to hold accountability and make real change. For the safety of our children and our amazing staff, I have put on social media asking for ideas from parents and teachers. Comments and messages from all over the district, no matter what side of the highway, have come in, and I'll share it with you when I'm done compiling them. I have prayed and cried for the teacher in that video, for selflessly giving of himself to protect a student. I pray and hope you will take the same approach now for our teachers and children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nate. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. 10A is approved minutes of September 9th, regular board meeting. 10B is approved the budget amendment. 10C is approved local policy update. BQA, BOB, and CO is the second and final reading. 10D is approved the workers' compensation pool insurance premium. 10E is approved appointment of members of School Health Advisory Council. 10F, approve the wide area network service contract. The board may take action on these separately or collectively. Do I have a motion from the board?
Mr. Ferris, I make a motion that the board approve the consent agenda collectively as presented.
I have a motion from Dr. Edamudia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson, thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Moving on to item 11, consideration and possible approval of an annual financial audit. Mr. Chase, if you please come up and present the audit.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Tonight we have our annual financial audit report included your board packet for review over the weekend. We have Sarah Dempsey here tonight with Weaver and Tidwell. She is the senior audit partner on the engagement. We've used Weaver now for this will be the third audit that they've done for us, and I'm going to turn this over to her and let her present her findings.
Good evening, board members. Dr. Terry, I'm here to present the June 30th, 2024 audit for you. I'll start with an introduction and go through the audit process, talk through those audit results with you. Then we have some required communications that auditors are required to have with board members or those charged with governance, and then go through some financial highlights for the June 30th, 2024 fiscal year. After that or during, happy to answer any questions that you have. So as John mentioned, I'm the partner on the engagement. I've got about 21 years of experience, and then Claire Wooten is our senior manager on the audit. She's got approximately 14. She's been with me for a while. She has been with Weaver since she started out of college. And then we've got audit staff Kyra and Casey. So our audit team stayed relatively the same, which works out well for the logistics, working with the district, having good familiarity for our third year. So for the audit process, what we do is we start with an initial planning, and then we move to interim fieldwork, and that's in June. And what we're doing in June is looking at the controls over disbursements, receipts, processes. This is a financial statement audit, so it's really centered a lot around the numbers. And then there's also federal expenditures, so you have a single audit, so we're doing procedures over those grants as well. And then the final fieldwork is in August. We wrap that up in September and then issue at the end of September to be at this meeting. I want to say that this is one of the very first school districts to issue their reports for the 6/30 year end. And so what that really shows you is that the team, they know how to get their year closed and how to get it done. We're still doing some audits right now for 6/30 year end. So to be at this position with a final report in October is very unusual, and we do appreciate everyone's diligence to getting us everything right after year end. So the audit is done in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, generally accepted government auditing standards, and uniform guidance. Those are for the financial statement audit as well as the single audit, which is the audit over those federal expenditures. We identify risks as we're going through the audit process. Where could the financial statements be misstated? And a lot of that revolves around revenue recognition, the state aid that John went through in the monthly report. Because that's an estimate, and as you saw, it changed in September, it's one of those numbers on the revenue on your in your financial statements that can change during the course of the year. So we're really looking out for improper revenue recognition. And then at the bottom there, we have journal entries, which is meaning that we want to make sure that there is support for the journal entries that are going into the system, which then get on your financial statements at year end. So we're looking for third-party support, we're looking for approval, things like that. So those are the significant risks that we're looking at a high level. And then obviously we're going in and we're testing long-term debt, your cash reconciliations, investments, and liabilities at year end as well. I've talked through the interim procedures that we did in June. Again, that's just really looking at the control processes that are in place during the fiscal year. The single audit I mentioned, this year it was Title I and your special education program, and those expenditures made up 35% of your federal expenditures. We're only required to test 20% because you're a low-risk auditee, but those programs did make up 35%. And then final field work, this is when we come out, the year is closed, John's team has made their year-end adjustments into the general ledger, and we're pulling the support for the financial statements that they've basically provided us when they give us the numbers and we start to audit. A lot of that is capital projects testing. With all the capital projects going on at the district, we're testing projects, making sure that there's support for the expenditures, and then we're completing the single audit, and then we're testing a lot of other transactions as well, that your debt payments were made on time, that your expenditures are being classified correctly. Those are just a few examples, but it's really a financial statement audit, pulling that support that makes their way to the numbers. So for the audit results, an unmodified opinion on your financial statements, that's a clean opinion. And then we have no material weaknesses noted, no significant deficiencies to report to you, and that's over the internal controls over financial reporting. And then for your single audit, we issue an opinion on compliance. That means that Title I and the special education cluster had an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion as well, and no findings. So for your School First report, these are the results that will go into the next School First report that you were briefed on earlier. And then just for the required communications, we've talked about the auditing standards that the audit has to be performed in accordance with. If there were any unusual transactions, I would be required to bring those to your attention. Any material weaknesses, fraud or illegal acts, unusual transactions, I would be required to bring those to your attention, and there are none. And then there are estimates, as we noted with the state aid changing in September, so there are estimates that we test during the course of the audit as well. No difficulties encountered. To be able to issue an audit this close to your year end is really outstanding. So obviously no difficulties were encountered, and our audit team is independent. And then no audit adjustments. If we were making changes, corrections, pulling support, finding errors, that would be an example of having to make an audit adjustment, and so no audit adjustments. So real quickly, through some financial highlights, I know this is June 30th, 2024. What we like to do is look at what the revenues were 2024, compare those to 2023, just to show you the breakout that you've still got your really a similar pie chart compared to prior year, but you can see how it's broken out here. What those changes are, in fiscal year 24, revenues were $281.5 million. And that's with your general fund, debt service fund, capital projects, and special revenue. So it's all of those governmental funds, not just general fund. That was an increase of 46.3%, or 20%, 46.3 million, and a 20% increase compared to 2023. And I've listed up what those changes are. So you have 8.1 million in your local revenues, with 4 million of that being your property taxes, and then 4 million related to your interest income. And then for your state programs, that increased 42.6 million with your state aid allotment. And then those federal programs actually decreased as that ESSER money is being spent. And so there's a comparison over 3 years. You can see that your local revenue stream is increasing as well as your state program, and then your federal program revenues have declined a little bit, but that's just a 3-year chart for you. And then for your expenditures, same thing, just looking at the pie chart to let you see that you've still got function 81 making up a significant portion of it, function 11, as well as your debt service are really the 3 main pieces for your expenditures. And then that looked like for fiscal year 2024, you had $559.8 million, which was an increase of $96.3 million. A lot of that is in your capital projects. It's an increase of 21% compared to prior year. For one of those increases, $30.5 million was payroll related. Your debt service expenditures increased about $18.2 million. And then that facilities acquisition and construction increased 44.1. So that's where your construction is. And these are prior year projects. So you're looking at Keith Bell, Warren and Tamer Middle Schools, and then your elementary schools with your high school expansions. And then that's more of that 3-year chart to show you how the expenditures are trending over a 3-year period. And then for your fund balance, you ended up with the general fund of $70.1 million, debt service $62.3 million, capital projects $109.4 million, and then those non-major funds, which is really a lot of grant funding, at $2.4 million. You had an overall increase in your general fund balance as well as your debt service fund balance, and then the one that decreased was your capital projects fund balance, which is expected as that bond money is getting spent on projects. And then I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have over the audit.
Thank you very much. Do I have any questions from the board? I don't hear any. That was probably the cleanest explanation I remember having on the audit, so you're very good at what you do. Thank you for breaking it down for us, because it does grow and get bigger every year.
It does.
So we appreciate that.
Yeah, y'all are growing.
Dr. Cherry, do you have any comments?
Well, what's amazing is we're growing around 1,600 students a year and building 12 buildings in 4 years. And to be able to have this kind of an audit, I can't tell you how much we appreciate the partnership, because I know that's a lot of work on your firm as well as working with our team, and because there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of increased revenues based on a lot of interesting growth. So thank you for the partnership that you have with our team. Y'all have done a great job again. John, again, thank you to you and your team for the work you did to get us to this point, and we would recommend that you accept the audit as presented.
Any further comments? Do I have a motion from the board?
Mr. Ferris, I make a motion that the board approve the 2024 annual financial report as presented.
I have a motion from Ms. Spateman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Burkhalter? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I hear none. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thanks, everyone.
Moving on to item 12, consideration possible approval of employee retention stipend. Mr. Chase?
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Just by way of introduction here, in November 2016, if you'll recall that far back, the district began this practice of paying retention pay to our employees. And the pay was granted in order to reward employees for continuous employment with the district. In previous years, that retention pay was approved during the budget adoption process in June. This year, however, administration recommended making payments of retention pay subject to board approval after the beginning of the school year. We felt this was necessary to see what actual student enrollment would be before determining if the payments were affordable. So after reviewing the actual enrollment for this fall, administration has determined that indeed retention pay is affordable. Student enrollment is approximately 600 students more than our original budget projection. And that increased enrollment, along with the changes in our revenue estimate, is projected to generate an additional $9 million. And so that being the case, what we're recommending tonight as far as employee retention pay would be a 2% pay grade midpoint for all permanent, full-time, or part-time employees. If they were employed on February 1st of 2024 and maintain continuous employment through November 22nd, 2024. And one caveat for that, that I've kind of had that in that parenthetical phrase underneath it. If we receive a resignation notice that's going to be after November 22nd, but we get it before that, and we know they're going to resign, that they would not be eligible for this because it's designed, again, to retain employees. And if they're not going to stay with us, they're certainly not getting retained. Anyway, as an example of this, the 2% for teachers, that would be the $1,346 payment. And so our hope is that this additional pay will help retain our staff in this highly competitive market. And so our recommendation is that you approve the 2% retention pay plan as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Chase, and that key word is retention, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dr. Terry?
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. As everyone is well aware, growth is a blessing and a curse, and in this case, it is a blessing to be able to have 600 additional students that we're projecting. That brings us some additional revenues to take care of our staff, and we always appreciate the board prioritizing our staff every year, whether it's through the annual raises that we're able to give, or in this case, the retention stipends. And so we're very blessed to come to you with a 2% recommendation this year, so we would recommend that you approve that as presented.
Board, you've heard from the administration. Do I have a motion?
President Ferris, I make a motion to approve the employee retention stipends as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Burkhalter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Amudio? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I hear none. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 13, consideration and possible approval of additional personnel. Mr. Chase?
Again, during the budget development process this spring, we had presented a staffing plan based on enrollment projections of 17,900, just north of that, students. This current estimate is actually, or it's not really an estimate at this point, the current enrollment as of last Friday, I think, was 18,510. So we're just about at 600 students more than what we had previously projected back in June when we were developing our budget and approving our budget. So in order to serve these students adequately, administration is requesting 40 additional personnel units. Now, the estimated cost of these personnel units is $2.2 million. It's probably going to actually be less than that, because that $2.2 million assumes that we get them hired tomorrow, or really actually at the beginning of the school year, and that's not going to happen clearly, but that'll be more than adequate to cover the cost for the year. The increased enrollment, again, along with other revenue changes, estimate that we made in the funding formula, we're going to yield about $9 million, and so this 2.2 million, along with the 2.4 million on that retention plan, they're still going to have resources left to do some other things with. So just again, by way of review, during June budget adoption process, we approved 163 personnel units. Adding 40 to that would get us a total of 203 units that would be approved for this current fiscal year, and that would be a staffing ratio of about 7.4 to 1, which is within the TEA acceptable range for a district our size. And so our district, administration would recommend approving the 40 additional personnel units as requested.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Dr. Terry?
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. This is the challenge with growth, is that we have to make sure and serve our students in the best way, and blessed to have the revenue to come to you with these 40 additional positions. As many districts are cutting staff in deficit situations. Again, I can't tell you how blessed we are in Forney to be able to come to you with and ask for some additional positions to serve our kids in a great way. So we recommend approving these positions as presented.
May I have a motion from the board, please?
Mr. Ferris, I make a motion to approve 40 additional personnel units as requested.
I have a motion from Dr. Adamudia. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I hear none. Moving on to item 14, consideration possible approval of resolution nominating candidates for election to the Kaufman Appraisal District Board of Directors. Mr. Chase?
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. In past years, the Board of Director positions to the Kaufman Central Appraisal District were filled by appointment from taxing jurisdictions. With the passage of Senate Bill 2, 88th Legislature, the appointment and composition of the Appraisal District Board members in counties with populations over 75,000 has changed. The new law requires appraisal boards to consist of 9 members. The tax assessor would hold 1 seat. The appointment of members would hold 5 seats, and then there's 3 seats that are actually elected positions. They'll be on the ballot. I think they were on the ballot this spring. My recollection was there wasn't anybody that actually ran, so they ended up having to appoint somebody to fill those vacancies. But they'll be on the ballot next time because they're in positions that are electable. So the process to select the 5 appointed positions begins in October. That's what we're here for tonight. Each taxing jurisdiction will submit up to 5 nominations to the chief appraiser. The chief appraiser will then prepare a ballot with all of the nominations and submit those to the taxing jurisdictions, and the taxing jurisdictions will then cast votes for candidates no later than December 15th. And 5 candidates with the most votes in December will be appointed. So the resolution that you have in your board book tonight includes the following proposed nominations: Robert Dobbs, Bruce Bynum, John Zaby, Don Griffin, and Bruce Wood. Now, all these nominations, they currently are serving on the appraisal board, 3 of which are in leadership positions. So that said, administration is recommending the approval of the resolution to nominate candidates for election to the Kaufman Central Appraisal Board of Directors as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Dr. Cherry, do you have any further comments to this procedure?
You know, we've had a wonderful relationship with the appraisal board, and that's one of the reasons we recommended the 5 current members. Again, just as a reminder, these are not who you have to cast your votes for in the future. This will create a ballot later on that we can look at and make recommendations for at that time. But the 5 that are recommended tonight have done a good job, and spoke with the chief appraiser, and she also affirmed that same thing. So we'd recommend the resolution nominating these 5 members as presented.
Board, you've heard from the administration. Do I have a motion, please?
Mr. Ferris, I motion to approve the resolution to nominate candidates for the election to the Kaufman County Appraisal District Board of Directors as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Bateman. Do I have a second? Second. Mr. Johnson? All in favor say aye. Aye. I have an abstain from Ms. Dobbs. Any opposed? You hear none. Let the record reflect Ms. Dobbs abstained from the vote. All the others were yea votes. Next is item number 15, closed session. Closed session we took out of order earlier tonight. Moving on then to item 16, results coming from closed session. Item 16, consideration possible approval regarding the employment of professional contract personnel. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Ferris, I move that we approve the contract personnel as discussed in closed session.
I have a motion from Mr. Johnson. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Ms. Bateman, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I hear none. Number 17, we have no action there tonight on item 17. Item 18, Dr. Terry, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Just a few announcements. Staff in the back, you're almost there. We've almost made it to fall break. Just as a reminder, Friday is a student holiday. So I just want to point that out. And then we do have a fall break opportunity next week. And then we were able to get a new date for Wilson Elementary's dedication. after the passing of Mr. Wilson. We've been working with the family, so that is going to be Tuesday, October 22nd. We hope to see you all out for that. And then don't forget our November 4th regular meeting again. So outside of that, it is a busy fall, so keep up to date with all of our events on the websites or Facebook as well.
Thank you very much. With that, if I have no other questions or comments from the board, we'll call it 8:45 p.m. We are dismissed.